Hey craft friends, welcome back. I love Halloween. I love October. And so this week we are going to sew this adorable bat felt plushie. I think it is so cute. It came together good. This is a level 2 sewing project. So if you've never sewn anything before, you might want to start with a simpler project just to make sure you have the attention span to finish it. This one does take just a little bit longer. I also think it's beginner friendly and I have the steps broken down really easy and good in this video. So if you are interested, I have a free pattern linked in the description below. It's on my blog, so go ahead, click that link, print your pattern, gather your supplies, come back here, and let's sew this together. To sew this cute felt bat, you're going to need the following supplies: some felt in the color that you want your bat, some sewing floss that matches your felt. I have pink for the nose, black for the eyes, and white for the fangs, so optional. Something to stuff your plushie with. This is polyfill, which you can find at the craft store. I also use my felt scraps, like all these bits that I cut off, I will often stuff my plushie with first. Something to trace your pattern with, something to cut your pattern out with, something to sew your pattern with. This is an embroidery floss needle. It just has a little bit of a bigger eye for this thicker thread. You can use normal thread. It's just going to be a little thinner so these stitches won't show up so much, which is a totally fine design choice. And then you're going to want the pattern. Again, this is on my website for free, so there's a link in the description. Go ahead, click it, print it, cut it out. Come back here, we're going to start tracing your pattern and sewing this together. When it comes time to trace your pattern, you're just going to want to trace it right at the edge of your felt so you can maximize your felt. And any of these pieces that say cut to, we're going to trace them one time on the side with words, and then you're going to flip it over, and on the second time you're going to trace it on the back side without words. This will just make our pieces line up better when we're sewing them. Go ahead, pause the video and get all of your pieces traced. And when it comes to cutting them out, you are just going to want to cut them slowly and do your best to cut off any of your tracing lines. Again, this will just make it so they don't show up in our finished product. We are going to sew most of these facing inwards, so you probably will be okay if a little bit of your lines show up. And you're going to want to hang on to any of your fabric scraps because they work great for stuffing into your finished felt bat. Once you have your bat all the way cut out, you're going to take a minute and you're going to lay it out just together. So the bigger circle is the head, it's not the body, so that's a little bit unusual. And we're going to start by sewing on the face. Now, if you don't want to sew the face, you can always just grab a marker and draw on your eyes and mouth. You don't have to sew it. This is a little bit of a trickier process. Right now, I have threaded my needle and I am going to do a loop knot parallel with the two ends of my string together. I'm just going to make a circle and then put the bottom strings through to form a knot. And then I usually just pinch my finger over the top of this knot and then pull on the needle side so that my knot goes right at the end of my thread. And we're going to pick up this face and we're going to decide where we want the eyes. Now I need you to think as you sew this, it's going to kind of smoosh up. So you don't want to put a mouth right here, kind of at the bottom of it. I'm going to put the eyes probably in the middle and then my mouth right here. Imagine this being curved in. So I'm going to do my first eye right here. So we're just going to go from the back of the fabric. If you have lines on your face fabric, it's a good time to check it out and make sure your lines are turned in or where you're starting. All right, so I'm going to pull my needle most of the way through. I'm leaving a tail on the back here. And then I'm going back through the front pretty close to where that starting stitch was. And I'm going to put my needle in the middle of these two threads back here before pulling it tight. This is just going to give me a knot stitch right here. And there's an eye. If you want a small eye, this is great. You can be done. I like my eyes to be a little bit bigger, so I usually go just backwards in and out around this spot, usually 3 or 4 times because I just like my eyes to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, that's a good size for me. And then we're going to knot our thread in the back. This is a process we're going to use a lot of times in this project. So you're just going to put your needle kind of through this bundle of threads right here. Then you're going to grab this side where it's coming out, not the side where it's attached to the needle. And you're going to wrap it once, twice over the top of your needle. You're going to pull it back. You're going to pull it back towards the eye of the needle. This is just going to keep this knot tight here. We're going to pinch it lightly. That's just to hold this thread in place as we slide the needle through. That's just so those loops of knots don't end up like up here in the thread. We want it right on top of where we were sewing, and then we're going to snip it off. Your first eye has been added. I'm just going to repeat those steps and add my second eye. Once we have our eyes added, I want to add a little bit of a nose to mine. You do not have to do this process again. This is a little bit of the trickier sewing, and we do want it up higher on the face again because it's going to crumple in. So I'm going to start right here for my nose, and just like we did with the eyes, we're going to go from the back, front, and I'm going to do kind of a long stitch here, kind of picture a triangle nose. So this is going to be the tall part of it. And we're just going to do smaller and smaller as we go with these stitches. So there's my triangle start, and then I'm just going to move my needle down a little bit in. You may have to reposition your needle a few times. Felt is really forgiving. So if you poke through and you don't like it, you can always snip your needle off and restart, or just pull your needle back. And again, just kind of push the felt back together. just going in and out, making my stitches a little smaller each time. And then I'm going to go from the bottom to the top corners just to make it really triangle-y. Again, just knotting it in the back. Okay, our bat has a little nose. Right, and this is a little bit tricky. I am going to add a mouth on my bat. And for this, I am going to take my embroidery floss, which is this thicker floss. I'm going to unravel it at the top, and I'm just going to pull out 2 strands of it. I want a little bit of a thinner thread for this. You know what? I think I'm even going to go smaller. I'm going to do just a single thread mouth. All right, and I'm going to do a little backstitch mouth. So I'm going to knot it like I did with the others. Try and start right here in the middle bottom of this nose. I'm going to go down just a bit. Okay, and this is called a backstitch. So we're just going to go down from where we want to be, and then we're going to go back through the hole at the top. So right here. Going to pull my needle through, and then I'm going to go back into the dot of my previous stitch. So that just gives us a little line, and now I want to make him kind of happy, so I'm going to come up a little bit over here, do a small stitch down, then kind of in the middle, maybe go right there. Go back through here. And then I'm going to do that same thing on this other side. I'm just going to add 2 stitches. And I'm going to knot it in the back. And the very last thing I'm going to do on this face is I'm going to add some little bat things. This stitching is the most complicated, this like face building of the project. I just want to go a little bit below my mouth stitch, and I'm just going to do a tiny triangle knot stitch on the corner of each of his. Putting my knot stitch down at a slant, and just like we did that back stitch, I'm just going to go back in the bottom corner and over a little. There's one cute little thing, and I'm not going to tie that one off. I'm just going to come across the way and repeat those steps on the other side. Now our bat has a cute little face, and we are going to work on sewing the head together. So I have threaded my needle with gray. This time I'm tying a knot just in a single end of it, not in both ends. I'm going to move the body pieces to the side. Take out my ears for a second, and I am just going to do a knot stitch right here in the bottom of this head. So we're going to go through both pieces of felt, pull our string almost to the end, and then we're going to stick our needle into this bundle of threads down here. You're going to want to go close to your knot because these threads are kind of wound together. And then I am going to take this tail end, and I am just going to pinch it inside the bat's head. Now we are going to do a simplified or a modified blanket stitch. So for this, we're going to go from the back side, the back of the bat's face, or I always go from the table side up, never from the face side down. We're going to stick our needle through both pieces of felt. And then we're going to grab this tail side where our knot just came out, and we're just going to put it over the top of that needle, and then we're going to pull it all the way through. Then we're going to come over again. We're always going to go from the back, from the table side up, through both pieces of felt, pull that needle over. This gives us this kind of like dotted line, kind of stippled stitch right here. We're going to do that a few stitches until we're ready to add our ear. Once we're at the point we're ready to add our ears, we're going to pause. So you can do your ears 2 ways. The easiest way is just going to be to lay it flat, put it in here, and do a running stitch, which I will show you how to do. If you want your ear to have a little bit more texture, I kind of like the folded look. We are going to fold the bottom corners just towards the middle, kind of like you're doing an airplane. Just have it kind of pinched down. So I've just like layered it one on top of the other. I'm pinching one side towards the middle and pinching the other side towards the middle. This is just going to give us a little more texture for that ear. And then I am going to sandwich it between these 2 pieces of felt. and I am pinching it with my fingers. You are going to have to pinch and hold it or pin it. And then if you're doing a pinched ear or a flat ear, this process is going to be the same. We are going to do a running stitch. So a running stitch is where you just go from the back forward. You're going to want to get all those pieces of felt, pull it all the way through. And then this time we are going to go from the front back. And again, through all these pieces of felt. If the needle is feeling tight, you can always use the table or the floor to kind of help nudge it down and in. So we're just going to do that along this whole ear. Go slow, make sure you're getting all your felt so that ear is real snug in there. All right, and then once you have that ear in, you're just going to go right back to that blanket stitch. So we're going to go from the back of the head, pull the tail of the needle over the top and pull it through until we're ready to add that second ear. We're going to do that same process for adding the second ear. Once you have that second ear attached, you're going to continue with your blanket stitch until this bottom, until you have about a finger's width of space, and then we're going to stuff our bat. So I am going to start with my felt scraps. If I have enough to do the whole head with it, I will. If not, I will use my polyfill. Just go ahead and push it in. Sometimes I use my pen to help me like smush it in a bit. Okay, and once you have your head stuffed, you're just going to continue with that blanket stitch all the way around the bottom. It is going to be a little trickier now that it's full, so just try and grab both edges and then just pull your stitches tight as you go. Then we get back to our starting stitch. We are just going to do one more knot stitch in place. So I'm going to go from the back, and I'm just going to go kind of from the back down. I don't really want this to show up on the front of the face. We're going to wrap it once, twice over the top. Pull it through, and then I am going to poke my needle into the bat's head and kind of out the other side so that I get that tail string into the head, and then I'm going to snip my thread. Look at its cute face. Now we're going to work on the body. So right now I am just going to take the back piece of felt and put the belly and the wings, or the belly and the feet aside, and I am just going to do a knot stitch, and I am going to knot these wings onto the back of my bat's body, just like a simple knot stitch like we did with the eyes. Going in and out. And I'm just going to knot it twice. I think I want these wings to be kind of mobile, so I want kind of a firm stitch back here. I think 2 stitches will be enough. I'll knot it off. So now that we have the wings, I'm just putting my feet down here, and we are going to start sewing this body together. So again, I have my single knot on the end of this thread, and I'm going to start in this top corner by the wings because it's going to be the easiest to stuff it under this face. I'm going to pull the legs out, put a knot stitch in place, and then I'm going to do a blanket stitch around the body until I reach those feet, where I'm going to do a running stitch. And then I'm going to do the blanket stitch again until I get to the top, and then I will pause and stuff it just like we did with the head. You're just going to want to push the wings aside as you're sewing along the side. I'm just smushing 1, maybe 2 blanket stitches between these feet, and then I'm going to go back to that running stitch. Pause right here to stuff the body. And then I'm going to sew it closed just like I did with the head. Okay. So I have this long string at the top of my bat, and we are going to do what's called a ladder stitch. So I have knotted it off at the top here, but I'm not going to cut it off just now. And this is one of the coolest stitches. We are going to make a ladder. So I'm going to go from the front of the bat's body to the back of the bat's head, and we are going to attach it slowly. So I'm going to do just an in and out stitch. So I want these to match up. So as I'm going right here, I want to go from this side of the bat's head. So I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to go in and out here. And I'm just going to leave a really long stitch. And then I'm going to flip it back over, and I'm going to come in and out right here at the top of the bat's body. I'm going to use my fingers to keep them apart just so you can see what's happening. If it's easier, you can flip your whole project each time you do it. We're going to go in and out right here. Pull that thread, leave it loose and long. So we're just making these kind of lines that kind of look like a ladder. It's why it's called a ladder stitch. And this stitch I just think is so cool and so fun. I'm going to keep doing this ladder stitch all the way across the top of this, the top front of the body and the back front, or the back of the bat's head. Okay, so now we have this ladder stitch, and you can see how it's spread apart like this. Now if you're feeling strong, you can start right here on the side. If you're not feeling super strong, you can start with one of these middle stitches, and you're just going to give it a little tug and see where it's pulling. So if I pull at the top, it's pulling it this way. If I pull at the bottom, you can see it's tightening those. And we are just going to pull these tight, 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 and it's going to bring that head and body together in this like invisible stitch. This is great for clothes and pants, this ladder stitch. I think it is just cool and fun. And then we're just going to finish it off with one more knot stitch right here. So I'm wrapping it twice. I'm going to do 3 times right there just because I'm feeling like it. I'm going to pinch it. Just carefully pull my needle out and then push it in to the bat's body and out the other side so the tail thread is inside its body. Snip it off and we are done. Look how cute he is. And here we are with our finished bat felt plushie. I think this came together so good and I had so much fun sewing it. I hope that you did too. If you enjoyed this or you're looking for more easy or fun sew along projects, be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, any of the things, all of the things. I will be back soon with another free pattern that we can sew together.